Hey everybody, welcome to the Unreal Engine live stream. Today with me is Daniel Wright and Jerome Platteax, and we're going to be talking a little bit later about some Paragon lighting techniques and stuff. And I should also mention, Chance isn't here today. He's out having his batteries changed. That's it. So
that's supposed to mean something?
Nope, I don't know. I just don't have a good excuse.
Okay, it sounded like a secret phrase.
It is now. That's our new secret passphrase. We'll have to come up with a meaning later. But we're going to be running through a couple of news items first, and then the Game Jam winners, and then we're going to be talking about Paragon as our feature presentation. So let's hop right over and get to the news. All right, so the first thing is a reminder, Shadow Complex is back. In case you hadn't heard it the first time, it is remastered, and it is on your launcher, and it is also available for download on epicgames.com/shadowcomplex, but it's free for the holidays. So, it's over this month. You should be able to go in, download it, and you will be able to keep that and play it forever. But if you miss out on this little window, you're not going to have it. So just run over and grab it. And, you're not going to lose out on anything. All right. And then we've also got a really interesting thing that we found that was sent to us. It's a live action trailer for Shadow Complex. Let's roll that. He just wails on that guy. Yeah, I actually like how they kind of recreated the melee kills so closely like that. Yeah.
I'm on my way. So is this a fan made?
Yeah, this is all fan made. Yeah. I don't think that we had the time to make something this neat.
I think they worked with Jay, actually.
Did they work with Jay? Really?
I think so.
Oh. Shelly's over here with the knowledge.
I think he should have been a little bit more stealthy.
Oh, this is how I play too. I just charge my enemy and then melee. Totally. Charge, melee.
Any game that has stealth in it, pretty much.
Well, instant kill melees, that's how I live, man. Were you ever on the leaderboard?
Oh, Shadow Complex?
Yeah, because we had, I managed to make it for just a little bit. They even include the boss fight and all that.
They're right on my tail. They're shooting at me.
Just hang on, Claire.
Keep having to remind myself that this is
live
a video game.
Yeah, live action. We're at that kind of weird point in reality where it's kind of hard to tell these days. Especially with that, it looks like the default bokeh. You see it?
Yeah, it totally does. Pistol versus helicopter.
Oh wow, awesome! Such a cool trailer. All right. Next up, side effects prizes are coming to the UE4 jams. So not for this one in particular, but in 2016, we're going to start seeing more prizes. As you can see, they have a couple of things that they'll be offering, and we'll get more details on that and I'll tee you out in a bit. But they also have a UE4 plugin that I'm here to pitch to you a bit. So they've got the plugin for Houdini and all that out. They're going to be doing the sponsorship. And yeah, we're just really happy to have them on board. It's going to be really exciting. And I know everyone really loves this technology. So cool. Next up, if you haven't heard yet, Ark Survival Evolved is coming to Xbox One, or has launched, I should say, coming to, and we're really just excited for them. So I have a code. That's right, I have a code, and I'm going to be giving it away at some point during this stream. Probably when you least expect it. I'm just going to drop it into chat. And so if you've got an Xbox One and you've been wanting Ark, get ready, it's coming.
It's going to be a mad race to run into the dashboard.
Everyone's going to, copy, run off to the Xbox and have to put it in real quick. And the last thing, this isn't a particular piece of news item, but we do want to say that 4.11 Preview 1 is coming very soon. It's probably not going to come out this week, but soon, very soon. Alrighty. So let's go on to our Game Jam games. This time around for the December Game Jam, we had a total of 38 valid working submissions. So 38 submissions, and we have a really great highlight reel. And I believe Shelly got the highlight reel. Excellent. Now, winners will be receiving a t-shirt for the Epic Mega Jam along with a box of swag prize stuff. That'll go to every single member of your team. And we really hope that you're going to like the new stuff that we get in 2016 also. So it's going to be even more. These got pretty innovative. There's a couple where you have to like reconstruct things. This is, by the way, I should probably say this. Epic Super Ducted Space. Yeah, yeah.
That looks cool.
The theme was the beginning is the end, so you'll see a kind of like strange theme of endings and beginnings, and ducks apparently. Thornwood, very bleak. That one was creepy.
F-Zero.
Yeah, it's like Audio Surf and F-Zero, yeah. That one kind of reminded me of Cave Story. A couple of these more like sprite pixel art ones, they were very gorgeous. Shaving Day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my dad.
Hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel.
This is it was like a continuous run. Yeah.
That's all this just running in
Yeah, you had to like not
That's
die by
circle.
continuously running. This was a very clever one. You have to grow a plant and defend it.
That's awesome.
Chance and I had a hard time playing this. This is a 4-player one. We had to like get a whole bunch of people and stuff, and yeah, we had to create instances. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
That was reverse Simon Says. You have to play it in the opposite order.
It's creepy.
That one was wild. Backwards maze. I was terrible at that one. Oh, you can
Is
just
that your
tell.
footage of you?
Yeah, this is all footage of me, by the way. So all the
That
failures.
explains a lot.
That's why it's also poorly like played. I die a lot, and I
Creators
managed
of
to-
these games are.
Yeah, people don't understand
Don't
how
do
much
that.
time I spend actually trying to get good footage and play through a lot, and I'll end up getting myself killed a lot. Jeez. All right, awesome. So we're going to announce the winners next. So the next thing is our first winner is Team Alshar with Timefall. So congratulations, Team Alshar. Let me pull that up. And this is it. There, Timefall.
You gotta click on.
Yeah, gotta do that. It thinks it's a virus, you know.
Standard
Alright.
Windows stuff.
So I'm gonna let you.
Is it mouse and keyboard?
Yeah, so this is mouse and keyboard. So this
Alright.
one, at first, it's very kind of simple looking, but you realize that there's a lot more depth to it when you see the primary mechanic is time manipulation. And so you can right click to pick up a small object like that box over there, and left click to reverse something back to where it originally was
I
using
don't know if I can get my head around.
So I'll help you cheat. You can put the box down on the left and then climb on top. You don't even have to put it there, but you'll need it for the next step. All right, and so now you know how to move a box. This is that kind of level progression I like to see, where you start off with one thing and you get a few more. So now you have something in your way, and you have to reverse its time. So if you click on it and hold down your click,
Ooh,
see that?
Damn.
And so it bounces back into place. Yeah.
I think I just broke my head a little.
And this is the one that I saw, and I immediately went, okay, I like this a lot. So,
Come back.
yeah, you got to get him to come back over. And then it's
Wait.
going to, it'll try to knock you off because it maintains some inertia.
Oh God.
Oh no, you died.
I can't jump very high. I gotta keep that in mind.
What are you looking at? It's all white.
Oh, I thought
you're
thought it
looking
was
at the
like a
wall.
death
I was
screen.
like,
Okay.
yeah, I was starting to get worried. You're doing the grandma thing where you look at your feet and spin in a circle.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, you gotta click it.
Don't I have to?
You have to click
back
it.
up
There
time?
it goes. Oh, it must have been floating for a minute. Oh, there it goes.
So how do I make that?
You just run and jump.
But don't I need to be on top of that to take it to the other side?
Yeah, so you're gonna have to time it. It's like, yeah, it's a time
Oh,
trial.
okay, gotcha.
Oh.
I got it.
Oh.
Come here.
There you go.
Oh, by like a millimeter. Oh no.
Yeah, so it just gets like more complex. There's like more things you can have to
Does
like.
the time of the
reverse.
one I'm standing on?
No, it's
change?
once you've reset it, you tend to be okay. So
Okay.
the boulder's already knocked it off.
I thought I was gonna have to like toggle between
No.
my current platform.
I think that the next one might be where we have to give it. We might have to stop on this one because this one just takes a while. Where you're like, okay, I have to make sure I put these in the right order. So you end up having to pick them up in the correct order so that they don't knock each other back over. And so that's kind of what the trick of
Cool.
the mechanic becomes, is
It's a fun
remembering.
little game.
Yeah,
Can't
you have
believe
to
somebody
like.
made this.
Yeah, you have to
Only
like
3
run it
days.
and make sure you kind of memorize what everything looks like as it's being destroyed.
Right, because now when I'm restoring this one, it's like clipping through the other one.
Uh-huh.
See,
So
that
if
one
you
worked
look,
out
oh,
okay.
that one worked out.
That one
Nope,
did not
see, that
work
one's
out.
just gonna fall. Oh. Oh.
There's a bunch of them down there.
Now, one of them is also the rock that knocked everything down. And if you accidentally restore that, then it'll just
Oh.
knock your whole thing down again in like this extreme troll move. And that happened to me once.
How do I get this one to stay up there?
Oh, I think you might
See,
be
look,
missing.
it doesn't.
I think you're missing one more.
On the right side.
Oh, is that?
But do you see any on the ground that I missed?
Maybe that one's like
The
a
flat
red
one? This
herring.
one? Is it one?
No, this
it's
is
not.
just like level geometry.
Maybe
Oh,
it's a red
maybe
herring.
I have to jump on it.
Oh, while
like
it's like
midair.
still floating? Yeah, I kind of got stuck on this level. Oh. It's alright. No, it's okay. I mean, you're just really bad at playing games. It's fine.
Especially anything involving jumping, which is a lot of them. Alright, should we go on the next one?
Yeah, it's fine. So, yeah. Again, that's Team Alshar. How do I exit? How to exit without accidentally exiting the wrong thing. There we go. Timefall, yeah. So, congratulations, guys. You'll get a badge, swag pack to all of your team, and all of the other goodies. So, next up is Crackpot Gumption. I think I said that. Yeah, Crackpot Gumption Shopping Spree Simulator. This is just a really wild game. It's a lot of wacky fun with the classic tropes of kind of what I would expect from a wacky physics game. So I think it's one button will. Oh, here we go. Right bumper or right mouse button will grab things, and then you can move around your cart, pick up stuff, and this is how you load the first level: is you put it in your cart and you take it to the checkout line. So here, how about you give that one a
I'll
shot?
try.
So yeah, just walk up to your cart and hold right mouse button. And this one was really difficult also, but I ended up having a lot of fun just trying to get it through the first level.
How do you move that?
Oh, I go up behind the cart like you're gonna push it, but then hold right mouse button down,
Alright.
and then you'll kind of see things will go flying out of your cart if you overload it,
Okay.
and it gets pretty maddening when you're okay. So yeah, you've got your countdown, and you're gonna run out.
Friday simulation.
Yeah, you have to run out, grab a cart, go in and dump as much as you can in the cart, bring it back and grab another cart, and you're trying to get $50 worth of stuff in your time limit. So I failed several times before I ever got anywhere in this. You guys remember the old shopping spree like shows? Sweep, yeah, supermarket sweep. Thank you, Shelly. She
No, I don't
remembers.
remember that.
Yeah, I was like such a fan of that show because the people would run through it. They would put their arm out and they would knock stuff into the cart.
But you have to be closer.
You have to right click, not left click.
All right.
I can actually see. Yeah.
Here you go. Come on. Here you go.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, I think you're up $1.
98 to go.
Barely.
You're doing a good job at dropping them on the floor.
I think I was laughing so hard I couldn't like get them in sometimes.
I need to get the right distance. There's nothing more expensive than $1.
Oh. Everything's very inexpensive too, which is sort of like a pain. It's like, I have to get 50 of the cans.
Come on.
There are even like $1 signs up there, making you think there might be like a $5 section.
Oh, there's a $3. Like,
Look on the back wall; it says $2.
Oh yeah, it's double points.
Where is that guy?
You might want to cash in the cart you have.
20 seconds.
Your
$3 cart.
Not gonna ruin it.
I think the first run I managed to get all of $8. Okay,
Where
so
is it?
you grab the next cart in line, and you have to run for it.
You did your best, Jerome. That's all that can be said.
Yeah. Oh, that's lame.
Oh, no. You total score -9. Oh, goodness. All right. So you guys get the idea, and if you get into it further, there's more fun to be had. So I'm gonna exit out of that and then run back to the next game.
Are there zombies in it?
No, Shelly has a new zombie. Throw the graphic. Shelly got a new zombie graphic, and she's really excited about it. So just wanted to throw that out there once.
Thank you.
Do you have that on a hotkey?
Yeah, you got a hotkey for it? Oh, it's a hotkey. She has a hotkey for zombie alerts.
Don't abuse that.
So at a moment's notice, though, we are totally good for being alerted and safe. That's good.
I also have a basketball.
Okay, we'll run through more of them later. Oh my gosh, she's so happy about all these new. We got some new stuff, and she's very excited with it. Oh, I also have to apologize if anyone picks up the ambient noise of rain. It is just decided to start storming out of nowhere. All right, so back to it. Third game jam winner. Hero of the Peel, Aller himself. So Forum Badge is his team name, but it's Aller. We played this game, and I was very excited and blown away. And you can see he's already got a ton of badges, so I don't know if I should even give him this badge. It's just unfair. But this is a pretty brilliant game that takes place on a Mobius strip in the world of F-Zero racing and also maybe audio. So I don't even know how to describe it. It's great and exciting. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and skip the tutorial. And so I'm going to try this, but I'm pretty bad at it. So the idea is, and I'm going to just kind of run through this one pretty quick since we spent a lot of time on those. You're moving through a Mobius strip that represents, I guess, kind of like an electron moving around
It's going fast.
an atom, and
on,
you're
dude,
trying to
that's-
color in all of these squares by rolling over them. Ow!
So you can't just keep going your safe path over and over.
No. There are techniques, like I can hit E, and that'll widen how many I'm grabbing, so it increases how much I get, but I can also get hurt more easily, and yeah, so there's a lot of elements here, and if you've ever played Audio Surf or any of those kind of games, so that you're kind of familiar with that play style. Now, he built in a ton of levels. They're very cool, and if you complete them, you get a really nice graphic, but it takes me a second because I am not very good at video games. In case people at home haven't heard yet.
Why are you here?
I'm bad at playing them. I really love making them. Oh, here we go. All right. Yep, but that gives you kind of the idea of how it looks. And he's been very excited about this, and also I think he just got like 1,000 sales on his marketplace thing, and he was very excited.
Oh,
He
nice.
he said I should mention that on the stream today, that he got over 1,000 sales on his generic shooter. So there you go, buddy. Since you won. All right. So all three of those teams will be receiving badges, swag, and my personal love. Thank you, and thank you all for participating. It's really great to see how many people came out, even though it's end of the year finals, Let 'em Dare. There was a lot of other stuff going on. So thank you all. Right, I'm gonna close out.
I like how he said he spent most of the time on the spline, being able to set up the track
Yeah.
of splines instead of the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
That sounds like every one of my game jam attempts ever.
It's like that one thing ended up being your whole like effort.
The technology of it, basically.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna bring this one up. All right. So I'm gonna just pass it off to you guys, and
Daniel?
Yep. So you're using the editor, so I shouldn't close it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
try not
Okay.
to.
but yeah, feel free to grab all the images you need. Zombie alert! Yes, for the in between time where we have to just move one thing over really quick.
Oh, here it is.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few features that we've made lately. Honestly, when I say our, I mean the rendering team here at Epic. We've been focusing on performance a lot lately, so we don't have a huge amount of features, or rather, most of the improvements we've made are kind of like behind the scenes. Things just run faster. The engine just works better, and I think that's a really good thing for the render overall. But that does mean that when we have these live streams to show features, like there's just a few things. Although Brian in the last rendering live stream showed a bunch of cool stuff.
But those
Hair
ones
and-
are really important ones. Like,
I'm glad you think that. I'm glad you think that. You have to say that, by the way. If you want any more. All right, so the first feature that I want to talk about is called capsule shadows, and it's a technique we created to solve this problem where characters are sitting in an area that's only indirectly lit. So the sky is affecting them and the bounce lighting is affecting them, but the direct lighting from the sun doesn't affect them at all. And in the past, they just wouldn't have any shadow at all, so they don't look like they actually belong in the level. Now, normally we do shadowing with shadow maps, where you're rendering all the triangles into a shadow map. And the problem with that, or the limitation of that technique, is you can only do sharp shadows or like a little bit soft. You can't really do variable size on the light source, which can give you like really soft shadows. So we had to make a new technique that would give us really soft shadows, because when you're dealing with indirect shadows, the light's not just coming from one direction, it's coming from all around you. So the actual capsules that are used to shadow, by the way, don't look at that shadow on the ground. That is not a capsule shadow. But this shows like the capsules that I set up on this character so that he could cast indirect shadows.
the purple line. That's the capsule, right? The
The purple lines are the capsule outlines, and they're attached to bones. So as the character moves around, the capsules move with him. So it's a completely dynamic method. And you can see here I had 10 bodies set up. I could have put them on the arms. I didn't, because in this scenario, he mostly just walks around. If you had a game where he could fall on the ground or like go into cover against a wall, you'd also put them on the arms. But the performance of the technique depends on like how many capsules you have. So the less, the better. So here's actually showing on the right is capsule shadows on, and on the left is capsule shadows off. Mm-hmm. This is in like a little cove where he's lit only by indirect lighting. And you'll notice the direction of the shadow is coming from the left, or the indirect lighting is coming from the left, and the shadow is kind of sharp. That's because it actually uses the samples that Lightmass places around the level for character indirect lighting. It uses those to figure out where's most of the indirect lighting coming from. And then the shadow casts in the right direction, opposite to that. And then the softness of the shadow is also dependent on like how directional the indirect lighting is. So in this case, it's pretty sharp because I'm in a cave. I'm in the back of a cave where all the indirect lighting is coming from like this small cave entrance. But if you were outside on a flat surface, then the shadow is much softer. So I guess I kind of I forgot to get some screenshots that show like how the capsule shadowing actually works, but maybe I can just describe it real quick. Basically, a capsule can be represented by a sphere and like a sphere that's at the right spot in the capsule, and then you can compute for the receiver how much that sphere is occluding its cone. And you accumulate all the different capsule shadows, and the end result you get is this super soft shadow. In order to change how soft the shadow is, all you have to do is just change how big the cone is. And the technique handles any softness. That's really the cool thing about it. So here's another example. This is with actual Paragon assets in a level somewhere. I just place them down in an area with only indirect lighting, and they have no shadow. And then once indirect shadows are turned on through capsule shadows, now all of a sudden they're grounded. And here's in some gameplay scenario where he's actually moving around and animating, and because the capsules were attached to the bones, they just work as you're walking around, and all of a sudden now the feet look like they're on the ground.
Yeah.
And the character looks like he exists there in space.
That's vastly more performant. Wow.
It is. Yeah, I haven't got to performance yet, so you don't know what the performance is.
Shut up.
So this is just showing, like, in the middle one's showing some guys off in the distance, and they all look grounded now, even though they're in the shadow of the sun. This is just showing the relevant settings. Basically, what I've showed so far is the indirect shadows from the capsules, but once you have a capsule representation of your character, you can use it for any kind of occlusion. So we also have direct shadows through capsules, and this is like a less useful feature than the indirect shadows, which was something that was previously, like, there was no way to do it at all in UE4, and now you can use the capsule shadows. But this is capsules for direct shadowing. The reason you'd want to do this is because it can give you very, very soft shadows from, like, a very large area light. So here the shadow from the environment is all baked, so it's super efficient, and the shadow from the character is dynamic using capsule shadows, and they blend together perfectly, and they're both equally soft, so they look like they belong in the same scene. If you use shadow maps here, then the character shadow would just be, like, completely soft, completely sharp. And so onto performance. It's actually a really efficient technique because it uses tile deferred culling to cull the capsule influences to just the tiles that could possibly receive shadows from that capsule. So here I outputted, like, the number of capsules that are affecting a tile and visualize that. It basically, like, if you see white, that means there were 20. There aren't any white spots on here. The brightest you see is like 10. That means there are 10 capsules that can possibly cast a shadow on that pixel, and that pixel has to go through all 10 of them and compute the shadowing. But the nice thing about it is that most of the areas on the screen knew that they didn't have to do any work at all because of this tile culling. So it's quite efficient. It's actually a lot cheaper than standard shadow map shadows, and we're using it especially even on PS4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so that is capsule shadows.
It's very visible in the gameplay trailer that we showed.
Yep.
That's where you see it the most.
Which this is straight out of the gameplay trailer.
Yeah. Okay.
I just screen captured a couple of shots. That's why it's kind of blurred.
Cool.
Super useful. Yeah.
So the next improvement is light mass portals, and there's a few other light mass improvements as well. And this actually these improvements came out of a discussion with the community. One of our users, Ragu, started a thread on the architectural visualization forum, and he had some really specific questions, and he had a lot of basically he made it really easy for me to investigate it. He gave me the exact settings he was using, a very simple little scene that showed the artifacts, and I happened to have time to investigate it at that point, which was a rare thing. But what came out of this investigation, this cooperation with the architectural visualization community, is improvements to light mass. So this is showing what happens in 4.10 and before, if you put a skylight in your scene, and there's kind of like small windows, so all the lighting's coming through one window, and then it's making it to the back of this hallway here. And at the back of the hallway, light mass has a hard time removing the noise, basically. So with portals now,
Oh wow!
portals, it's basically like you as an artist telling light mass
Or to
all the
focus.
lighting is coming through this window here. Like send your rays in that direction. So you could have gotten this in 410. You could have gotten the same image, but it would have taken a much longer time to build lighting. You basically have to jack up the quality everywhere with indirect lighting quality. Now you put the portals there. That's basically selectively increasing the quality. The end result is basically like better quality, shorter build times. This is showing how I had the portals set up. The portals are just these like rectangle wireframe things. It just needs to like cover the opening a little bit. It doesn't have to be super accurate. And this is showing what this scene looks like with the default settings. Default settings err a bit on the side of too smooth, but fast. Basically, the assumption is like you'll do one lighting build, you'll see the results, and you'll iterate from there. So default settings are a little bit too smooth in most cases, and you can see that here. Like the shadows at the corners look like they're floating a little bit because the contact shadows are missing. So this is with higher quality settings. This build took a bit longer. This setting specifically is static lighting level scale 0.2, indirect lighting quality 10.
Wow.
But this is just showing how like this is your first build, and then once you're willing to commit to a longer build, this is what you can achieve.
Wow.
So this is a really simple scene. Obviously, it doesn't like it's not like an arted up scene or anything like that. But I think it demonstrates the quality improvement pretty well. Here's another view. Same thing. By default, it's too smooth, but at least it built quickly. And then once you're willing to jack up the settings, all the contact shadows become a lot more accurate.
So you were using the portal on the previous one?
I was using what?
The portal?
Yeah. Okay. All of these 4 are using portals, and they're just showing in 411 what settings do you have to use to get the highest quality. And by default, it's a bit too smooth, and you need to lower the static lighting level scale and increase the indirect lighting quality. Those 2 settings are basically how you get to good quality in 411 and before, but with portals now, basically you don't need as high of a quality to get these quality images. So one last thing I want to talk about is the artifacts you can see in this image here. This, I don't know if it shows up on the live stream, but on the right over here, you see these like
you can make out the bleeding there.
Fake lights. Like it looks like there was a light there, but there really wasn't.
Yeah.
That was a bug with photon mapping and using static lighting level scale, a small static lighting level scale like 0.2 or 0.1. That's been fixed in 411. This was keeping a lot of architectural visualization users from using spotlights in their level, because as soon as you put a spotlight in there, light mass emits photons from that spotlight, and these would just start to show up all over the level. It's kind of an unfortunate bug, but it's fixed now. And in 411, I don't have the after, but basically, well, I guess I do have the after. It's this one.
And that's what it will look like.
Yeah, in 411, it looks like this.
Cool.
So that one's been fixed, thankfully. Oh yeah, one last thing about light mass improvements. This is a really big one. Light mass is actually 2 times faster now, simply because we integrated Intel's Embry ray tracing library.
Oh wow!
Which is just so fast at tracing rays that entire light mass, like if you click build, it's 2 times faster now. So that's a pretty big improvement.
We could have led with that. I wish I got a memo.
I don't know. People like to
Everything will be twice as fast.
People like to see pretty screenshots. We're definitely leveraging that on working on Paragon. All of our
especially
that
that giant map.
It's a big map. Takes a long time to build. Like 15 minutes on preview, and now it's 7 minutes on preview. So that's pretty great.
Wow. Sorry, that's still sinking in for me.
I saved it for last. Saved the best for last. So, okay. So this is an optimization. Like I said, the render team is mostly focused on optimization right now, and this is one of the things that came out of it. So, say you have a particle system that's playing a flipbook animation. These are all the frames of the animation. Starts small, it's a little puff of smoke. Starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So in the past, the particle was always drawn as the full quad, and all of this is just wasted space. It's basically, we had to execute the pixel shader, or rather the graphics card executed the pixel shader, but you only ever saw anything visible here where the opacity is greater than 0. So we have this new feature which will compute the geometry that cuts out that shape really accurately for every single frame in the animation. So for every frame, we're computing really tight bounding geometry around each frame. And then when we're rendering the particle, we're rendering that bounding geometry. And this is just an example particle system. I think there's like 3 emitters here. Each one of them has 10 particles in it, playing a sub-UV animation. On the left is what the shader complexity mode looked like before this optimization. And on the right is the shader complexity mode after. So all of the white here is basically like death to performance. And if you have a little bit of white on the screen in a small area, you can afford it because it's not the whole screen covered in white. But you know, like the amount of extremely expensive pixel shader operations went down significantly. The actual GPU time of this particle system was 3 times faster with this optimization. So we think that
We're just dropping those today.
like I said, we're focusing on rendering performance.
That's great. Yeah, that's what Mike Fricker was saying on the 410 411 discussion. Is it's going to be a lot of performance improvements. So
Absolutely.
wow,
Like our VR users will benefit from that a lot because
yeah.
they have to squeeze out every last millisecond.
that's right.
Console users will benefit from that. Anyone who's making a PC game and you want it to scale down, you want as many people to play as possible.
Yeah, like,
Mobile users will benefit from that.
yeah.
So, so like it looks like in this shot here, the particle system was just starting up. See, they're kind of small compared to like in the total animation. It was like a third of the way through there. So the savings isn't always 3 times. Sometimes it's only like 2 times, but 2 times is still pretty good. There are a few settings you can change to control this. By the way, the whole description of how to actually set this up, I'm not gonna say it here because it's kind of it's not a very compact form, but it will be in the release notes for 411. But I just wanted to show real quick the settings that you as an artist have available to control this. First of all, here's the texture. You have to reference the texture that the animation is coming from. You have to tell the engine how many images there were in X and Y, and you can just count that out really easily. And then you get to pick how many bounding vertices there were. I went with, or the default is 8, which is basically saying please cut out as much empty space as possible, because with 8 you can actually like cut out the shape very accurately. With 4, the next one down, you don't cut it out as accurately. And then finally you get an alpha threshold. So even if you have a little bit of stuff going on out over here, like some really faint areas,
Left over, yeah.
with the alpha threshold, you can say, nobody's going to notice. I'd rather have that performance. So just clip in those areas a bit. So that is particle cutouts, another performance optimization. It's kind of like a performance feature because you have to turn it on. It's not like you just automatically get the benefit from it. All right, so on to the next one. We have these per vertex translucency lighting modes now. It used to be that all the translucent lighting modes were computing lighting per pixel. Well, actually, they're computed in a volume texture, but per pixel, we were looking up that volume texture. So here is a translucent plane over an opaque floor, and there's a shadow cutting right through it. And you'll notice that the shadow on the translucency, it's not like constrained to the tessellation of the mesh. This is the default translucent lighting mode. If you just like change the material to translucent, this is what you get. So you can kind of see like the volume texture texels in there, but otherwise it's pretty accurate. Now with the per vertex lighting, it only does that computation at the vertices and interpolates it. So for a mesh like this, like you can actually notice some artifacts. But for particles, you basically cannot even tell the difference at all. And the reason you'd want to use per vertex lighting is that it uses half the instructions of the per pixel mode and half the texture lookups. So basically, you can make significantly faster effects that look exactly the same, faster lit effects that look exactly the same by using the per vertex lighting modes. So this is another one of those, like, you know, we're working on performance and we're finding ways to shave off inefficiency.
Cool.
So I think on Paragon, I think we're using this per vertex lighting mode everywhere. That's what Tim told
Yeah,
me.
I think so.
Like they don't even use the per pixel one anymore because you just can't even tell the difference between them on a particle. On this static mesh, you can. So last feature that I wanted to talk about.
My favorite one.
Your favorite one, and
This is pretty
I
big
don't.
deal.
I didn't capture any screenshots for it because you'll show the pretty. But basically, we have lighting channels now, only for dynamic lights, and there are 3 of them. So the way this works is like on every light and every primitive, you get to say what channel it's in, and if any channels match up, then that primitive is actually lit by that light. So the place this is super useful is you're making a cinematic. The character exists in a level. The level has a directional light lighting it. You need the character to fit in with the environment. So everybody's in channel 0. That's the sun. I mean, you can use it in other ways too, but this is kind of like the easiest use case to think about. And then you also want a rim light on your character, but you don't want the rim light to affect the whole world or the character next to him. And that's where channel 1 and 2 come in. And the channels do affect shadow casting. So a rim light that is only in channel 1 and only the characters in channel 1, that rim light will have much faster shadows than if you didn't have it in lighting channels at all, because then it would have to cast shadows from the whole world around it.
We used it on Paragon trailer, not everywhere, not all the time, but when we needed it, it was really, really useful. It's something that we try to carefully use because we want to stay as most physically correct as possible, and then just have some hint of like rim light or a spotlight just to focus the eyes on a certain character or certain point, and that's why it becomes very, very useful. Yeah, just for art directing.
Yeah, it gives a lot more artist control.
Yeah.
Like, not every game has to be physically correct rendering. Like, you want to stylize it. You want it to look. You want to have complete control when you're making a cinematic.
I know lots of people were asking for it too.
Lots of people were, unfortunately, there's a lot of features like that where it's like, we know that people want them. It's just it takes time to implement them, and especially to implement them well, such that performance is still good and memory is reasonable, and that they work. And anyway,
the Paragon trailer was a good excuse.
it was a great excuse. Yeah. All right. So that is all the stuff I was going to show.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I just want to show. So we did before showing the gameplay and the Paragon trailer, we did some marketing poster campaign, and
I'm sorry, she just did a guitar transition. It was hilarious.
Good one, Shells. Good one, Shells.
So just wanted to show those who didn't see it yet. That's where we were starting to reveal each character one by one and make some cool looking shots for each one. And I just want to show how we did that in engine. I'm going to try to do it live and not mess up in the middle. So if you guys want to see that, you go on the YouTube channel Paragon, and then you can see all the different characters that we reveal. Okay,
cool.
So how did we do that? So first of all, you need a good modeler and a good texture artist to do really good looking character. So I'm just gonna reuse Sparrow. It's a character we kind of went to last week. We explained a bit how we're doing the eyes and the texture overall, just to show you how good she looks. So to do the poster trailer, we start by finding a cool pose for the character. So I have one that's already made. Find a cool pose and then kind of try to look for a cool angle, like how can we show her, represent her. So I was thinking something like that would be nice. And let me show you what angle I picked. And a small camera motion, I did that. Cool and heroic pose.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's just like a slow pan, but it really is nice.
Yeah, simple. Take the time to see the character, and then here you are. So whoops, now that we have that, now it's time to actually do the lighting. So the idea with the lighting is to make it kind of like very moody, reveal the character without showing all the tiny detail, but kind of like keeping it a bit part of it in the shadow. So let me kind of try to recreate that. So I'm going to go in underneath, and I'm going to delete all the lights that we have here, because the current lighting is very flat. It's just a bunch of lights all around. So it's good to see the character, but not that interesting.
Reveals too much, right?
It reveals too much, yeah. So let me delete all that. So back to black. And I'm just going to create one light, one spotlight. Somewhere in the scene. Okay. Just to show you how, just want to show you my workflow. So, see how it's not very convenient to place a light like that and slowly moving around and going slightly where you want. So what I do is try to see from the point of view of the light and aim the light where I want it to be. So there's a shortcut for that. If you click on Control Shift P, then you get to the view of the light.
You can also do that by right click and pilot.
Yeah.
You don't have to use a shortcut.
So now I'm in the view of the light, but it's kind of annoying, this thing in the middle. So I go into the gameplay mode by hitting G. And then now I can take the lights and move around. Okay, let me bring back the camera. Okay. Now, here we are. So we are that. So same thing, like right now it's not very interesting. I'm going to find a kind of a cool angle to make it more moody. So something where we have the light coming from the left. So I'm going to hit G here, so it's only the lighting, the final looking image. And then as you can see here, there's a lot of light leaking. Like we can see, so the light comes from the left part and goes through here, but we see some light going through the nostril, going through the mouth. So we want to get rid of that. And you need to do that, you need to go into select the light. There's that little option here, it's the shadow bias. And usually I go something pretty low, something like that. And then all of a sudden you can see like, okay, there's no more light leaking. So everything is a lot cleaner and react the way you want. So each character, depending on the size, depending on if you write a building or a character like that, the shadow bias can vary. So
yeah, do you mind if I explain why that is necessary?
Yeah.
So shadow maps have this limitation where they don't perfectly represent the surface that's casting the shadow. There's some artifacts there. So what you usually have to do is you have to push the shadow surface back a little bit when you're doing the shadowing to hide those artifacts on the back faces of the mesh. But how much do you push it back? Well, I mean, in a scene like this, you only want to push it back like half a centimeter. But if it was a huge building, you'd want to push it back like half a meter. So the engine can't do this automatically. It needs some hints as to like how big the bias should be, and that's why the shadow bias is exposed on the light. And that's why the default bias was also not correct for this scene, because it was tweaked for something a bit larger scale.
cool. So let's continue on the lighting. So globally, I want to have like a kind of interesting side, lots of shape, still a bit moody, and then let's say I keep on adjusting, rotating around the light. Let's say I'm happy with something somewhere here. So you can eject from that view, clicking here, and now I'm back to the 2D mode here. I usually try to also narrow down, the cone angle to where, see, there's lots of wasted space in the back and in the front, so just to get even more accurate shadow. So narrow it down to that. And then, I have a bad shadow here. I don't like it too much, so I can go back into that mode and then move the light a little bit so that there's not that weird shadow here.
It looks like the hair.
It's the hair. I guess no, not too big of a deal. It's gonna disappear little by little with more lights in it. Okay, let's say I'm happy with that. So usually what I do is, okay, I have my first light, I'm happy. Since I already did all the parameters, oh, don't forget, it should be a movable light. That's very important. So I'm happy with that. The intensity is pretty low. It's going to be pretty moody. And now I'm going to start to actually light. Give more feel on the other side. Same thing, back into the game mode. And then I'm just going to try to shape a little bit on the other side, including a face and the arm. Let's say I'm happy with that. And now it's time to actually separate her from the background. So what I do is actually take that light, put it all the way in the back, just to rim her. That's what we call a rim. That's why you see the effect here, is just to make it so that she stands out a bit from the background. Something like 2000 is very good. Okay, let's say we're happy with that, and then I'm just going to do the same thing with the other side, where I want to make sure she's completely separated from the two sides. That's where she also starts to get a bit more shape. I like when it's very highlight here, it's shape the nose and all that.
You can see the actual structure of her face a lot better now.
Start to be a bit more cinematic, and then since they spend so much time making pretty hair, let's show up the hair a little bit. So I'm gonna just rim the hair, the top part of the hair, this side. I want to make sure she's separated from there too. And see how fast we can get to pretty good lighting then. So okay, now I'm happy. She's kind of separate. She has some shape on the two sides. And I'm just gonna make sure, since the camera, just want to make sure now it's still good from the camera view. Yeah, I guess I can add some light here. It's pretty dark, so
You can't see the bow very well.
yeah, you don't see that too much. So you know what? Just going to duplicate one more time, one more light, and try to find an interesting angle so that we can shape. Going from the bottom, or maybe more from the top. But yeah, so globally the light is kind of like a beam coming from the top with some spots.
So you avoid front-on lighting at all?
As much as I can, because we wanted to make her kind of moody, and now we are here. But okay, she's maybe a touch too dark now. Can create a small fill light. This one, just to focus on her face. This one should be really low, something like that, and then narrow it down so it's only affecting her face, and maybe come further away, just to make her a touch more softer.
Can you toggle that one?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just
Yeah, there's a
Massive
big shadow
difference.
there that I didn't realize until you.
There's a massive difference.
that's kind of like not making her too pretty. She looks a bit dirty, so just a touch so that. Whoops. Maybe it's even too much. Enough so she's feel. We can still see her eyes, and then let's take a look at it and see how it is now. Maybe it's still a bit dark there, but let's say we're happy with that. So next step was actually to separate her even more with the background, because I'll actually make the background more interesting, because the black was actually just a black that is kind of boring. So what I'm doing is we added some those. Whoop! Did I just move the light? Oh yeah. Don't forget.
You're still piloted.
Yeah.
I'm pilot.
That happened very often. So don't forget to eject yourself from that light. And I'm just gonna grab that kind of fog plane in the back, and then you can, so that she looks a bit more interesting.
Give her that kind of halo effect.
Yeah, halo effect around her. Here's about how she looks like. Maybe it's clipping a bit too strongly in the back. Let me change that. extend it so that at the end of the shot there's not something too strong here. I think it's good enough for the demo. Okay. Again, here's the shot. So now, let's say we're happy with the lighting, happy with the overall composition. One thing that's very important is also to recreate the lens, the focal length, the depth of field. And to do that, we have the depth of field option. Let me stop that. Let's go to that first frame. So depth of field, it's on the camera or on the post process. Let me select the camera. It's going to be easier to see. So depth of field. So we have the circle depth of field. You can see here. What does it do? With and without depth of field, it creates that it's going to create those nice bokeh and all that stuff. So you can change the value of the depth of field if you want not too much or very, very way too much. So for that type of environment, maybe a 2.8 would be a good one because we're supposed to be in the dark, kind of like low lights, but that's still too much. So let's stick with something around 7, aperture 7. And then the cool thing is you can either focus on a face, which is the good, or on the bow. So you can change the distance. If you don't know, for example, when you start, this distance is by default 1000, and it's kind of hard to tell. Am I in focus now or not really? So there's an option if you're going to show visualize, and you have the depth of field layer. That's very handy. So if you have the mouse over, you can see D is the distance. So the distance says like it's 109, and then if I wanted to focus on the arm, it would be 44. So that gives you an idea. Like the black part that means that's in focus. The green part is the foreground, that would be blurred, and the blue part would be the background, that would be blurred. So if I change that to 44, you can see like now this is in focus, and now it's out of focus here. So if you want to get out of it, you go into visualize, and that's blurred. So now you can see that she's out of focus, and of course this can be animated. So I did a quick pass at it, and here's how it looks when you change the depth of field, like focus on her face and slowly move to the arm and the bow. And that's how we did the poster training, the poster campaign.
Wow.
So the assets is really good, the way they react to the light, and you can really create a good lighting and real-time lighting
These are
in Unreal. Yeah.
Wow.
Would you ever put light sources to represent the arrow there?
On the poster, I did some where the light is actually coming from the bow, so she gets some yellow light here, like lots of light around on this area and then here. But I wanted to simplify it. It took me maybe 2 or 3 hours to do the other one, the poster campaign, but yeah, just to show for people who are not used to work in real time, how fast you can create a good looking lighting. Like, I come from a more visual effects background, and then just coming here and be able to do that, it's actually really cool.
Oh, can you hit the cancel on the pop
Yep.
up there?
People hit King Snooze. I'm like, it's gonna come back.
Don't you want Visual Studio?
So
There's a sigh.
that's it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thanks for showing us that.
Yeah, that's
I never sit down and like watch you guys work, so I learned a lot from that too.
Okay, cool.
wow. I think we've all learned quite a lot today. But we do have a little bit of Q&A. So if you guys want to bring up the document on the left monitor there, and we will. And you can just keep her rolling so Shelly can be real over to it whenever she feels like it.
Where did you put this one?
All right.
Alrighty. So I peeked at these questions ahead of time, and they were brutal. Meaning they're really good questions, but
They're tough answers.
difficult questions.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'll just preface all of this stuff with basically repeating what I said before. Like, the rendering team has been focusing on performance overall, and so a lot of the improvements we've been making are under the hood. They're not visible things. So with that in mind, so will Paragon bring volumetric lighting? If not, is it planned? That's something that would be so cool to have. We would love to make that, not just for Paragon, but for the engine in general. It's not on the plan right now. Basically, we're focusing on like 60 FPS on consoles. So that takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of work shaving off all of the last 10% here and there. So unfortunately, the answer to that one is no. Are planar light types coming? So I think this means like a texture quad.
Oh.
So there's two. It could either be just like a quad that has the same value everywhere, and then the more useful version of it is like there's a texture on it. So that's something that I know Brian Karras has experimented with quite a bit, but I think the last result was he wasn't quite happy with the specular from it. It turns out that like computing energy conserving specular from a quad light is actually super complicated, and we like when we implement lights, we try to keep them physically based. So I think it's like there's some code related to it. It's in there, but it's disabled. So yeah, I guess the answer for that one would also be no. We don't have. We're not working on planar light types right now. So what kind of improvements are planned for the post effects? New lens flare types, reduced circle depth of field noise. So we did actually work.
The reduced depth of field. Yes. So
Martin worked on reducing the noise from the circle depth of field. It's quite a bit better now.
Yep.
Especially I think if the source is really bright, that's what brings out the errors.
Yeah.
As to other features there, the main thing that we've been doing on post-process is we've been optimizing it so that it runs really fast, which means that you can use more of the post-process effects at once. You can't just afford one. Are the explosions all 2D card-based, or are they truly volumetric?
2D
I think this is asking about the Paragon gameplay demo.
Yeah, so there you go.
Play
The
right
gameplay trailer roll.
It's all 2D card. I think that team they use 2D card.
So they're all 2D sprites with a depth fade, so they look volumetric when they intersect the scene, and they are playing in a flipbook animation to give them interesting content, and that's where that particle cutout optimization comes in and makes those things 2 or 3 times faster. So those are super efficient. It's really hard to beat them in terms of efficiency. As far as volumetric effects go, you can simulate volumetric effects with a whole bunch of layers of sprites that are looking up from the volume lighting texture. It's not quite the same thing as like having an actual volume texture that you're ray marching through to compute the final lighting. But the problem with that is you just get so much overdraw, and it ends up costing too much. So that's why we make our effects in this way. At least for Paragon, which Paragon needs to run extremely fast. Dynamic emissive lighting, yay or nay? Which can be emitted from any arbitrary shaped object and still have correct look? So dynamic emissive lighting would require something like light propagation volumes, which is supported, but it's kind of like experimental feature. I think that's all the news there is on that front. We do have static emissive lighting in light mass that is pretty high quality and doesn't cost anything. But of course, it doesn't integrate with character shadows. So like a character walks in front of it and he won't actually have a shadow. And no, that cinematic is not using the static emissive light.
Oh yeah, no.
Or scouts. Yeah.
It's just it's actual light sources. Okay, next question, will we get the option to bake only static ambient occlusion to light max? There's a node in the material editor which lets us extract baked ambient occlusion. I think that was a new feature in 4.10. That can be useful for texturing, but otherwise one would want to have fully dynamic lighting and just use baked AO for materials. So if you set all of your lights to have indirect lighting scale 0, and at the same time you have a skylight, you're effectively baking just the sky occlusion, which is very similar to ambient occlusion. So I think you can achieve that right now. You can remove all lights from the light map by setting their indirect lighting scale to 0, and yet the skylight will still be occluded. Okay, so is there any good method to exclude bright light sources from sky reflection captures to avoid the double sun problem? That's an interesting question. I think the double sun problem happens when the reflection capture, or this, I guess this is talking about sky. So the sky does a capture of the scene, and the skybox has a sun disk in it. So what we would really need to do to fix that is to hide the sun disk while we're capturing the sky. And if the sun disk comes from atmosphere, the atmosphere rendering feature adds a sun disk, we could totally implement that. We should implement that. It just hasn't been done yet. But if the sun disk comes from, like a random artist placed sprite or mesh, then the engine doesn't know to disable it. So it's much harder to implement in that case. But that's thanks for bringing that up. That's something we'll think about. Can you please talk about indirect shadows you added, like from The Last of Us? Yes, that is the capsule shadows, and I think we covered that.
Cool.
Are capsule shadows using the physics asset bodies or a separate set of them? That's a good question. I meant to mention that earlier, actually. So the capsule shadows usually use a physics asset. They do use the physics asset editor. However, it's a completely different physics asset than the one for collision. The reason for that is sometimes you want to tweak it for artist purposes, just so the shadow looks just right, mostly so that the feet shadow matches up with the ground. And of course, you don't want to mess with the gameplay while you're doing that. Mm-hmm. So they're two completely different setups. It doesn't actually take that long. It takes about 10 minutes to set up a character. So it's not a big deal that you have to make a whole separate setup for the capsule shadows. I think our artist who set up for Paragon took a couple of hours to set up all the characters in the whole game.
And also, you pay for the first set of capsule, and then after that, the extra capsule don't cost as much per character.
Are you talking about rendering performance or setup?
The rendering.
So rendering performance, there's basically like a fixed cost to have it on at all. Like if anywhere on your screen it's on, there's a small fixed cost, and then for every character, or actually for every capsule after that, there's a little bit more cost. But it scales very well. It's actually like on PS4, it's 0.2 milliseconds to have it on at all, and then it's 0.05 for every additional character. So you can easily afford 10 characters on screen, casting capsule shadows. It's very efficient because it's of that tile culling, and it's also at half resolution, which is not even noticeable at all in the final result. Okay, next question. Referring to capsule shadows, with what kind of indirect lighting does this work? Height field GI, distance field GI, or light propagation volumes? That is a really good question because there are lots of different types of indirect lighting. So this is a super new feature, so it's not like it's done. It's kind of like we implemented it right now for what we think is the most important use cases, and we'll expand it more in the future. So the current indirect lighting it's applied to is skylight. We're considering that indirect lighting for this purpose because it's debatable whether it's indirect lighting or not. But basically, like you want a soft shadow from the sky, and baked indirect lighting through light masks. Those do have indirect shadows applied to them. Now, a movable skylight, which you would use distance field GI with, that also has the indirect shadow applied to the skylight. However, it's not very good quality and it still needs more work, whereas the indirect shadow on baked light maps looks great. So basically, like it's there in 4.11, but it needs some work. And then on light propagation volumes and high field GI, we don't have the indirect shadows applying to those at all yet. But now that we have this capsule representation, we can reuse it for all sorts of different things. Another idea that's come up is to use it for reflection occlusion. Yeah. So you have these kind of inaccurate sphere probes that you place around the level, and we could potentially intersect the reflection cone with the capsule representation from the character and get really accurate shadows from characters that parallaxes perfectly, like the feet match up. That's always the most important thing. However, it can only provide shadowing. It can't provide actual lighting. So you would just get like it's dark there where the character is, which is probably better than no shadow at all reflection. We don't have that implemented yet. That's just like an idea. All right. Next question: does the engine auto switch from capsule shadows to normal shadows when passing in and out of light, or is it a permanent on-off thing? So if you do indirect shadows, it's once you turn it on, it's just always on. If you do direct shadows, then also once you turn it on, it's always on, as long as that light is affecting that character. All lights affecting that character will use the capsules for direct shadows. That's the only control we have right now. We might think about adding some more later. In particular, the direction of the indirect shadow is not very artist controllable right now. Basically, like you get what light mask computed what the indirect lighting was at some probes in space, which is what it uses to apply to characters, and whichever was the brightest direction is where the indirect shadow is going to come from. And sometimes, say you're in you have a very bright material that you're standing on and the sky isn't that bright, the dominant direction is actually going up. And you don't really expect to have an indirect shadow that's like going up and hitting the ceiling above the character. But that's what it will do. So I think in the future we'll probably like figure out some ways to give artists more control over it. Like especially if you're making a cinematic and you want it to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Do portals have a direction? They do not. They are. It's basically just like they're treated as a bounding sphere actually in Lightmass right now. They have. There's no like inside. There's no like the light must come in from one side and go out the other side. They basically just represent a volume, and a volume through which light mass is told lighting is going to come in this space. It's a portal. Is the arrow done with skeletal? I don't know what
surface
surf
particles.
means. Oh, it probably means they're spawned on the surface of the skeleton.
I think their question is the particles, are they coming from like the vertex off the mesh itself?
Yeah, I think there's some feature to spawn CPU particles off of a skeleton mesh surface. Do you know?
I don't know too much of that.
But I don't think that's what's happening here, though.
Okay, I don't happen to know the answer to that. Sorry.
No, I think that's just like a...
That would be like a Tim LA question.
Yeah.
Do you know this one?
Is this hyperly model or game?
This was actually so I'm going to throw this one out here because we have a lot of questions about the skin and the eyes and all that, and poly count and all that. In our previous stream, which you can go on YouTube right now and go to YouTube and look up Unreal Engine, you will see our previous Paragon stream where we covered poly count, how we did the skin here, the eyes, the hair, and all that, all in the previous stream. And I want to say it was 80K was the LOD 0. And,
I've seen that in profiling. Yeah, like your character, the in-game model of your character is usually around 80 to 100.
Yeah. But
this one is the LOD 0, the one that we did
this
the
is
demo.
the ultimate one, but that is game ready.
Is it the same? Do you know if it's the same mesh using the cinematic as in-game? I'd be surprised.
It's the LOD 0 for sure.
Are you serious? That's the in-game mesh?
Yeah, that's actually kind of like...
You know what, that's like an optimization opportunity right there.
but it does scale down in the LODs pretty well, apparently. So, cool.
All right. Okay, next question. Any dynamic lighting optimizations in the pipeline for VR specifically? There is a big optimization that is actually going to be in 4.11 for VR. It's not dynamic lighting specific. It's this instanced. What's it called? Instanced VR. Basically, like each mesh is the engine only tells it to be drawn once to the graphics API, and then the video card actually like instances it into each eye. So it reduces our overhead on telling the graphics card what to do quite a bit. And Ryan Vance has been working on that. Yeah. I don't know if it's been. I don't even know if that's been announced yet. Maybe I should be talking about it.
I think so. Yeah. And then we also used it on the bullet train already.
Oh, you already used it on the bullet train now?
Yeah.
And
it was
already presented there. Okay, great. So actually, you can. Was there a presentation about it?
I don't even know if we actually did a presentation for that, but
which was the technique?
The instancing.
It's instanced VR rendering.
I don't know.
All right.
Ryan Brooks came in and talked about a lot of stuff, and we had a couple people come in to talk about a lot.
But that is a big optimization for VR that will be in 4.11.
I mean, all that particle stuff too, and I mean, all the stuff you've been showing really seems like it'll help on some level.
But those things aren't VR specific.
Yeah.
They just helps everywhere. Could those capsules be used for shadowing and planar reflections like in Remember Me? Absolutely. We should totally do that. That will be awesome. And on a planar reflection, you can actually do the shadowing, the reflection shadowing much more efficiently because it's a plane. You can do the culling in a more coherent manner. So that first we'd have to implement planar reflections because we still don't have that in UE4, and then we would have to implement the capsules for shadowing. But I think that would be really cool. It's something we should do.
All right, let's take one more question. We're getting a little tight on time.
All right. Okay. Are you planning to add an efficient method to compute normal maps from the height maps? Right now, I think we've mostly been doing this, like computing the normal maps in authoring programs like Photoshop outside of the engine. So I think the answer to that one would be no. We don't have a plan to make a dynamic normal map generation method. It's not hard to do. You just have to do finite differencing. You sample some neighbors, and anytime you're compositing height fields, you kind of, to get a good quality normal, you kind of have to compute the normal that way, because you can't combine normal maps in an accurate way. But yeah, right now, I think our artists are mostly using normal maps that were baked out of 3D Studio Max or generated in Photoshop from a height field. Or does anyone use Crazy Bump anymore?
There's Crazy Bump. There's also.
I used to use Crazy Bump.
It's been around for a while. It's a useful tool.
That's kind of like
for
a
a quick,
cheap student way of getting things done.
Quick mock-up on something.
No. Mm-hmm. So that's it for the questions.
Yeah, that's all the time that we.
Oh, and I'll go to that. I know there's a forum thread.
Yeah.
Questions for this. I'll go to that and answer any other questions that I know the answer to.
So if you guys have seen, there is a forum thread up on unrealengine.com or forums.unrealengine.com, and you will be able to see us under the events section. You can go in, throw questions in, and these guys will come check them out. So thank you all very much for coming out, and let's see. And it looks like, this is actually going to be the last live stream of the year, and then next year we're going to pick it up again, but we don't have any plan for next week, nor any of the weeks coming up after that. So, thank you all for joining us this fantastic year of 2015, and I hope to see you all again in 2016 for all of the additional excitement and 4.11 stuff and all the madness and next GDC when that comes up, which we're all so excited for and happy about. I see the look on your face. Excited for GDC, right? Yeah.
GDC for the rendering team means a lot of work.
Yeah. So we'll see you all.
But fun results.
And I'm sure that it's going to be an exciting year. So we'll see you all around. Thank you for joining us, and have a great one. Boom.